DJs and entertainment are here with the Music Man, or shall I say, Tim Pruitt, aka the Music Man. Let's start with, how did you get the name the Music Man?
Well, I started DJing and doing house parties back in 76, 77. So in the 80s, I started doing more mixed groups with my job, and I was working down at the county jail. And so I started doing some country and western parties, some pop parties, mixed parties. So they couldn't remember my DJ handle, which the original DJ handle is T-Funk. Okay. So when they would come up and ask me a question and say, the Music Man, just you have this. So I had this, I had that, and after a while it just kind of stuck. So instead of saying DJ such and such or DJ this, I said the Music Man sounded good, so it worked.
So that was 77?
Right, 77 when I first started, and I was doing house parties.
Okay.
More or less. I'm 58 years old, graduated from Purcell in 1979. So we was doing, thank you. So we was doing all the house parties, you start off on 39th and Bell Fountain where I used to stay, and then you may go to 43rd and they had parties there. And then of course I did parties at the 43rd Street Boys Club, Men in Circle, Dick Gregory, that had more of the kids, teenager-like parties, and of course all the famous parties that we had at Purcell High School. So
you said Dick Gregory. What was that about? Was that a center or something that was around here?
Yes, it was a center that was on 30th and Prospect, large building, and of course it was named after the comedian and social person, Dick Gregory and stuff. Beautiful. And so, and they would more or less, it was kind of a rec center for young people, and I would do parties up there with other DJs that was out at the time.
Wow, that's his story. Once again, we're here with Tim Pruitt, aka the Music Man. Yes, that's him. We're down in Man Cave. He has definitely proved that his name is earned and not given, because it's definitely music, and I love it. Been a Music Man myself. We're just scanning to one side, and we're back on him. We're going to go to the other side in just a minute. We've got it that you've been around since 1977.
Correct.
So I know you have plenty of stories, but we need the two famous ones that stick out for you.
Well, I wouldn't... Famous, you can say more of a... where I enjoyed. And one was 1993, and I was doing... back then, I was doing... New Year's Eve parties with a group called 30 something, and we used to do the parties out at the Double Tree out in Overland Park. And basically it was me and Tony G from 107.3. He would come and help me out and stuff, but basically just a great vibe out there. Grown people, everyone's dressed up real nice, and at that time you were suited down. Men had the suits or the tux, women had the dresses and stuff. And it's not so much I have a story or anything, but if you're talking about something that I enjoyed doing at that time, with those parties in the 90s with that adult crowd and the New Year's Eve parties out there from 30 something. Because the vibe that we had, the music, I was able to play a bunch of different stuff, and then of course at midnight balloons come down and we just had a good time. The second one is more amusing, and I'm not sure if you was there, B, with me. We were up to Body Works, and they had the ice storm on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
And basically, everything was fine. It wasn't like a special party or anything, but we were just playing music. And what happened was, around 1 o'clock, we got outside, and it was an ice storm.
Wow.
And basically, we was kind of trapped up to Body Works.
Gee whiz.
So some of us traveled, some of us actually stayed up there, and of course, you had St. Louis Charlie there, and he was basically, y'all can stay here as long as y'all want to, because we're not going home.
Right.
But the funny thing about that, a group of us end up staying, some helped others push their cars out in the parking lot, and it was one of those things where no matter what happens in Kansas City, and you know how the weather is,
right,
we're gonna get out no matter what. We're gonna do our party. It can be a snowstorm, rain.
That is true.
But we're gonna come out, and we're gonna come out clean.
That is true.
So the weather's never that bad where we can't get out. So those are the ones I kind of remember, where you know how the weather's gonna be, and you say, well, we'll take precautions. We'll leave a little early, or stay a little later.
We're here with Tim Pruitt, aka Music Man. We're down in the Man Cave, and we're scanning through seeing all the music. Of course, you got the big screen television over there. Don't need to advertise them because it's all about the man of the minute, Mr. Tim Pruitt, aka Music Man. Now, you've been at it for a very long time.
Yes.
So we want to know, do you remember your first album of purchase or favorite album?
Well, actually, I still have it, and it is right here.
Wow.
And it is George Benson's 1976 Breezing. Wow. And of course, the feature song is This Masquerade. So even though I DJ, and the main reason why a lot of us DJ, especially back in the 70s and 60s and 70s, is because music. If you had enough records, you became the DJ. It wasn't about you knew the music. It was about you could afford the music to play at house parties and different ones. But my first love is still jazz.
Beautiful.
So I have a lot of jazz albums. I have the Crusaders, Bob James, and others. But I like playing music. But my first love is always jazz first. And of course, George Benson, 1976, Breezing, featuring This Masquerade.
Entertainment or with the Music Man. Know you've been at it for a while, so we know you're pro. So how can people get in contact with you? But also, what is the future of the Music Man?
Well, first thing, contact is, if you see me driving around the white Escalade, of course, it's going to have this. And I actually started, when I first had this, I believe it was 1994, 95, when I first got my personalized place that had this on here.
Yep.
And there was another DJ out there that had I DJ for you.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'll just put a DJ for you.
That is true.
So, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
What inspired that? What inspired the personalized plates?
Well, I always had personalized plates. I have this on my car, on my truck, on my Pontiac Old School. I actually had my original DJ handle, which is T-Funk.
Okay.
And my other vehicle actually has two-stepping. So everything has to do with music on my vehicles.
So T-Funk, that passed us over. Unpack that. How did that name come about?
Well, of course, since I started back in the 70s, like I said, 76 was, or 77 was my first house parties. Everything was about funk back in the 70s. And of course, we were playing more fast music, Parliament Funkadelic, Earth, Wind and Fire, Ohio Players, Cameo was coming up, Confunction was out there, and it was all about the funk. So, of course, using the T in my name just said T-Funk instead of P-Funk, which is, of course, Parliament Funkadelic.
No doubt. So, I like that. That's sweet. Now, with that too, what about the future? What's the future plans for the Music Man?
Well, the future
or T-Funk.
Okay. Yeah. T-Funk Music Man. My future plans is I'm 58 years old right now, so there's a lot of other guys out in the scene, and so I have basically kind of pushed back. I'm just playing a lot more two-stepping music, some jazz and stuff like that. But I'm still working in clubs. I still work at Club 31 on Fridays, Pete's Place, and I also do outside gigs. We supposed to, of course, what's going on, our next gig was supposed to be the Digger Museum down on 18th and Vine, the indoor-outdoor white party that I do with my fellow DJs. But as far as the future is bright. I'm going to still keep doing what I'm doing. Of course, I'm going to sit back because I love the new guys out here, the way they're mixing, the way they can sample, and I'm becoming more of a wordsmith, just speaking, not so much playing the music. Now I go places and they just want me to speak to the crowd and pump it up and stuff, so that's what I'm doing now. So.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, magnificent, man. Well, DJs and Entertainment definitely appreciates you documenting your talent for the Midwest and beyond, and give it up for Tim Pruitt, aka the Music Man, T-Funk, a DJ for you. We're gonna go in on that right there. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.